Welcome to another Midwest Energy presentation on energy conservation. I'm Greg Schwab, Energy Analyst and Account Manager with Midwest Energy. If you ever have any questions on energy conservation or what to do in your home or your business, your farm, feel free to contact us, 1-800-222-3121, or look for me personally, gswob@mwenergy.com. My desk direct line is 785-625-1459. We also have some information available on our website, www.mwenergy.com. Now today we're going to talk about domestic water heating. Now some parts of the world are blessed with a natural plethora of hot water, but most of us have to spend some money to warm that water up for our homes, used in bathing and other purposes. And we're going to talk about some of the options available today, ways to conserve money and energy, and see if we can't help you make some good decisions towards those. We have a variety of options available for domestic water heating today. Conventional storage type tanks. These could be fueled by natural gas or liquid propane gas, also called LPG, or electrically heated tanks. There are also the demand or tankless, also known as instantaneous water heaters. We're going to talk quite a bit more about those two options later on. There's also a heat pump water heater. We're going to take a look at one in use in our own home office building. And some renewable energies such as solar and other renewable energy hot water systems, indirect tanks, and some others. Speaking about the conventional storage type units that we're mostly familiar with, first we have the fuel gas models that are heated by natural gas or liquid propane gas or propane. The fuel itself fuels a flame. The heat from that flame is transferred to the water from a flue pipe and a baffle heat exchanger in the middle of the tank. Now we also have electric units. These are heated by electric elements that are located directly inside the tank. There are also demand or tankless water heaters. They can have either electricity or a fuel gas such as natural gas or propane. The difference between this type and what we just spoke about was there's no quantity of storage of hot water available for immediate use. The good thing is that means there's little or no standby heat loss from any water sitting in those tanks. More good news is there are efficiencies available up to 94% and even higher of energy factors for certain gas models. And we also have a heat pump water heater model. We're going to look at one of those in a moment in our own mechanical room here at our main office. This uses a heat pump or electric resistance heating elements. They're great for rooms that have waste heat, such as computer rooms, or as in the case of our mechanical room, where we have a lot of motors and other devices in there that put out a lot of heat. Commercial kitchens might also benefit from one of these type of water heaters, and they are more than twice as efficient as a standard electric storage water heater tank. For those of you that have a hot water boiler in your homes or offices, an indirect water heater could maybe be used as an option. This takes heat from the boiler itself with an internal heat exchanger. They're extremely efficient. The advantage is you get a large quantity of stored, ready-to-use hot water, and you also get the efficiency of your boiler. Makes them a very efficient unit for water heating. Solar systems are also available. These could have roof or ground-mounted collectors, an insulated storage tank. Also, we know that the sun doesn't always shine when we need it to, so a backup type tank, often a storage electric water heating unit, is used in conjunction with these systems. And there are a series of controls that turn the pumps on and off when necessary, such as when the panel temperatures are at optimum temperature. And there are some unusual approaches to water heating. I found these on the internet using compost, which has its own heat source, about 140 to 160 degrees. This particular slide shows a sample of a series of composting materials inside this tank area. Piping is snaked throughout this area, and as more composting material is added to it, it will start its process and you'll get some good hot water. You have no control over the temperature, but it's one of those things, maybe in a remote area, or if a person has a composting business, could be some alternative source of hot water energy. And those of us that have ground source heat pump systems in our homes and businesses, there's also an item called a de-superheater. When these units are air conditioning our homes, they're removing heat from our house or our businesses, and that waste heat can be turned into hot water through a very simple device that's added into these components, giving you basically free hot water. So now let's take a look at comparing the two most common models we run into today. We have a storage type water heater and the tankless units, as we've mentioned. A storage unit has a lower installed cost than a tankless model. You have a quantity of hot water that's readily available. Turn on the tap and you have hot water. And most of these operate without the need for electrical power, that is if they are propane or natural gas powered. The problem is efficiency. About a 0.62 energy factor is most common, but there are a few models for a very high cost that can have a 90% or greater efficiency factor to them. So the tankless type water heaters have some unique features. They do require special vent piping, so one cannot just plug it into the existing vent pipe from your former gas water heater. They also require larger fuel gas piping. For example, a typical gas water heater consumes about 35 to 40,000 BTUs of gas, whereas a tankless model often is 200,000 BTUs more or less. Another negative thing about the tankless water heaters is that they cost 3 to 5 times more than a tank type water heater does. They don't have a stored quantity of hot water readily available for you, so you must wait for delivery. They do require electricity to operate, so if you have a power outage, you will not have hot water with one of these units. Good news is they're extremely efficient. Some models are greater than 94% efficient. Another good news is they typically use about 25 to 30% fuel energy than a storage type water heater does. First and foremost, we always talk about safety in our presentations, whether it's a public presentation or one of our internet webinars. This is an antique water heater that had obvious signs of backdrafting and fire going the wrong direction. That probably came from a venting issue. Maybe there was some kind of a negative air pressure issue in this mechanic room. This unit has long since been out of service, but we can see some obvious signs of burnt paint and other things missing. That's a good indication that there's a problem. If you see that in any water heater, you need to have a professional person come out and investigate, and let's see if there can be some things that can be done to correct that problem. Another thing we see quite often is the thermostat on tank type water heaters. Usually the plumbers quite often will set them to extremely hot or to the maximum setting, and the answer is simple on that. They don't want to get that call that they're not delivering enough hot water to the customer. Unfortunately, this wastes a lot of energy. You really don't get more hot water, you just get hotter water, and that takes more BTUs of energy to heat that water to this higher temperature. So where do we begin? First and foremost, any energy conservation program, we need to talk about conserving, reducing our hot water, fix any hot water leaks, install low-flow fixtures and upgrading kits, low-flow shower heads. This little unit that we'll give out often on energy audits will probably save a homeowner more energy than an entire house full of LED lamps or other high-efficiency light bulbs will. And they're very inexpensive if you don't get one from us, but we also offer them at no cost to our customers. Install insulation on any accessible hot water piping. This is very important. Even that cold water pipe that leads into that water heater, the first several feet should be insulated because quite a bit of heat can be lost through that pipe 24 hours a day. Another option is consider purchasing an energy-efficient appliance such as dishwashers, clothes washers. The next step, safety. Combustion air. Any gas-type water heater, propane or natural gas, needs a mixture of air with that fuel gas to operate. Is the room large enough that the device is located in? Will an opening be necessary into that room? Safety. Does the current unit exhaust gases properly? We just saw a good example earlier of an old water heater that obviously wasn't exhausting very safely. Chances are that home may have been experiencing some level of carbon monoxide issues. And the fuel source. Do I have access to natural gas, propane, or electricity? At current market prices, 2012, natural gas appliances operate at a greatly reduced price versus propane or electric units. Storage type water heaters, many companies will offer calculators on their websites. Plumbers may have them, supply houses, where you can input the family members that you have, the fixture types and so forth, so you can determine the proper size of water heater for your home. Usually we see a 40-gallon water heater, a gas model, will serve a family of 4 very well. Storage type water heaters can also be available with high efficiencies and nominal waiting time for a hot water delivery. Now in choosing a tankless water heater, again, websites for the manufacturers will have some kind of a calculator. Your plumbing contractor or supply house may have a method to help you determine which model is necessary. And that comes in very important, as later on we'll talk about there may not be enough hot water available to do multiple uses at one time. So choosing the right model on a tankless water heater is extremely important. The fuel piping may also need to be modified. As I mentioned before, these models consume a lot more fuel than a standard gas water heater will, so the gas pipe may need to be increased in size. Exhaust vent piping is often different. The older models used a special stainless steel type of pipe, And many today use standard PVC plastic piping like a high-efficiency furnace does, so that will help reduce the cost of installing a tankless model. But be prepared to wait for hot water delivery. They may be called instantaneous water heaters, but that's not how they deliver water. Remember, we're starting with an appliance that has virtually no water stored in it, maybe a quart or so, if that much. That water could be room temperature if it's been several hours since hot water has been used. So immediately, once that faucet is turned on, that water heater has to start heating water, and it can take an extra 15 to 20 seconds to get hot water from that unit to that appliance, to that fixture. So it could take a while. That's one thing that many people have to adjust to, is a little bit of a learning curve, is waiting for hot water a little longer than normal. We'll briefly talk about storage type water heaters again. Kind of recap some items. There is a lower installation cost than a tankless model. You have a ready-to-use quantity of hot water standing by just waiting for you to turn on the faucet, and maybe a little bit of cool water from the piping inside the household piping to be purged. They're very simple, just a manual thermostat. We saw earlier one that was set to maximum, but they're very simple to raise and lower the temperature. Electric storage units have no flame, no pilot light, nothing like that to be concerned with, never a possibility of carbon monoxide poisoning, which is always a potential with any gas-fired appliance. Gas models can have high efficiency at 90% or higher. Electric units are always 90% or higher that we're aware of. Some disadvantages though, the most common efficiency factor is about 62%, 0.62 efficiency factor, meaning quite a percentage of your heat energy is going right up that exhaust flue pipe and little going to hot water itself. They do require combustion air for operation, and the interior vent pipe draws heat from the storage tank all day long, which leads to what's called standby heat loss. These tank type models, natural gas or propane, lose heat literally from the inside out 24 hours a day. That also leads to an efficiency situation. A lot of large homes and commercial buildings have hot water circulation systems. These are great. I mean, every motel, hotel that I'm aware of has some sort of a hot water circulating system. Can you imagine with 100 rooms in a motel if everybody had to wait to purge hot water from the building piping before they got hot water? It could be a very inconvenience for the guests. Now, there are two types of systems. One is called passive, meaning it's just a return pipe back to the water heater through a drain system. This uses thermal siphon action that slowly, quietly moves hot water throughout the building. And there are active systems. Those use a circulating pump to move water throughout the household piping. We're going to take a look at one of those in a moment that has a new twist. Both of these systems, unfortunately, are very energy intensive. We can look at a home's energy use and determine often that they might have a circulating type hot water system because they're literally using 3, maybe 4 times as much natural gas for water heating as they should be if they did not have that system. So we're going to talk about and look at a control system in a moment. There are a variety of automatic hot water circulating systems out there. Taco and Metland have a device called Demand. This unit's been around since the late 1980s. The same manufacturer of the Metland system has developed a system called Chili Pepper. A cute name, a good price. Both of these can use remote sensors or manual switches, occupancy switches, quite a number of systems to only turn on that hot water system when necessary. These are great energy savers on hot water systems. Then there are some that are not quite so automatic. They're analog systems, available at a lot of big box stores, plumbing supply houses. Common companies, Grundfos, Watts, and others make these systems. They usually have a lower cost. The disadvantage is they can maybe only be programmed to come on, say at 6 o'clock in the morning, then again at 9 o'clock at night to circulate hot water. If you need hot water during any other period of time, you may have to wait for a purge of the piping system in your house. Well, welcome to Midwest Energy headquarters in our mechanical room. It's a bit noisy in here, so please bear with us. We talked in our water heating video earlier about heat pump type water heaters, and this is an example of one we use in our own building. They're about 2.5 times more efficient than a standard electric water heater. We've got a lot of waste heat in this room because of the motors, transformers, and other UPS systems and other devices in here that produce a lot of heat. Let's do something with that heat. We've got a device right here that can bring in air from the room, take heat from it, heat our water with it, and then the nice advantage of it is when it's running, we get cool air. So we actually have a pretty comfortable mechanical room. Not that that's that important, but the thing is we're taking a waste product, heat, and we're doing something good with it. We're making hot water. These units are available in most box stores, plumbing supply houses. We don't want to talk about any one particular brand. There are a variety of models out there. This was one of the first, and that's why we purchased it here. We wanted to be on the leading edge, experiment with them before we recommend these to anybody. They've been working very well in our building. So the conclusion on this sort of systems is the first place to begin is hot water conservation. Choose appliances that use less hot water. Some cities even give rebates. City of Hayes, for example, has a rebate program for high efficiency laundry equipment and so forth. Water heaters may be available that are much more efficient than they were before. Insulate any accessible hot water piping. If you have an unfinished basement ceiling, whatever hot water piping is available to reach, visibly available, accessible, wrap some insulation on it. If you have a circulation system, then look for ways to control it, such as the Taco Demand or Metlin Demand system or the Chili Pepper or one of the other models. Efficient heating systems are very costly though, so choose wisely. And we at Midwest Energy are here to help you make those decision options. Thank you, and please come again. We plan on having more webinars in the future. We've already done a couple and hope you've enjoyed them. And if you have some more topics you'd like to have us discuss, please feel free to contact me. I'm Greg Swab, Energy Analyst and Account Manager at Midwest Energy. You can reach me at 785-625-1459 or gswob@mwenergy.com. Thank you.